Courtney, if you just start by giving us an insight into sort of the challenges of this season, what you've gone through to get to this point, how tough has it been for everyone?
Yeah, some pretty big challenges. I think, you came out of, I don't even know what bloody year it is, if I'm honest. 2020 of absolutely nothing. And we thought that 2021, as we all thought, we'll be over the hill and on the downward slope. But to be fair, what, the challenges is the administration, I suppose, have faced in just getting our game back on and elite status and all the things that sort of got in the road of that have been enormous. And, lots of challenges along the way of, particularly, I know, like from a squad perspective, so many injuries. However, it just means opportunities for others, and the youngsters have, taken them with both hands and put us in a position, to play a semi-final. So while there have been enormous challenges, perhaps they're just opportunities for, for others that may not have got them. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how have those challenges actually affected the Leeds squad, or the quality of the squad and the women's game as a whole? Has it made a difference that you've detected?
I think so. I think just so many little challenges. We've had only a 6-week pre-season, then an up and down season, in and out of fixtures and gaps here, and then changes to the draw and the structure. We've got a very competitive group of girls, and we're doing really well. And I mean, we knew a top 4 was sort of going to break away at some point, but that's been challenging as well to have. Luckily, perhaps, that the World Cup's been postponed, because I don't think we've had truly competitive matches throughout the season. At points there have been, but across the board I don't think so. So maybe on an England front it's a good thing. Lots of injuries and all sorts, but we just keep showing up, probably expecting things to change, and I just keep trying to remind the girls that we just need to continue to be adaptable to whatever the season throws at us. So that's sort of been my words of wisdom for the season.
Well, you won most of the games put in front of you. How galling was it to have to forfeit that Saints game?
Yeah, I just hate that F word, really. Forfeit. It sounds awful, doesn't it? But I know, in talking to Lois and her speaking with their staff, they were understanding of it. The situation we're in, we had 14 fit players, and for the well-being of our athletes, I really think that Lois and the coaching group made the best call for us in the long run. And I suppose, we wanted to play Saints, we wanted to beat them and put ourselves up to be the league leaders, but ultimately we're just putting ourselves in a position to be fit, healthy and prepared, I suppose, for a semi-final. But yeah, the old forfeit word doesn't sit very well with me.
Oh, absolutely, quite rightly so. A couple of final points from me. What do you expect from York then on Sunday?
Well, I mean, we've only played them 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think, and it was certainly a very physical game. So we expect that again. Hopefully it's, that's what you want from a really highly competitive game over at Totally Wicked Stadium. It's going to be physical. I just hope that, rewind a few weeks. That was an interesting day. We showed up that day with 18 players and a couple got sent home with COVID. And so I hope that's not a repeat for us. And then out on pitch, we had injuries. The girls really rolled their sleeves up that day. So that's all I can ask of them again. But I would like to think that we give ourselves a little bit more breathing room and, we come out a little stronger than we did in that fixture round a few weeks back.
So just finally from me, Courtney, given the challenges and the things you've had to overcome this year, if you could go all the way this year, would it be a bigger achievement than when you won it in 2019?
Oh, I don't think you can compare. Don't get me wrong, it would taste very nice, but it's tough to compare really, and every year poses challenges. But yeah, knowing what our squad's been through this year, if we could do that with this group of players, that would be special. But first and foremost, let's win the semi first, and we'll think about that grand final later. But it is enticing, the grand final being played at Headingley. So heads will be down, and York first this weekend.
Good luck. Good luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Cheers, Courtney.
Cheers, mate.
Hi, Courtney.
Hi, Lorraine. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, you've spoken to James there about the challenges you face this season, but in terms of the fact that you're now effectively 80 minutes away from going out there and retaining that trophy you won in 2019, it's certainly been a long time coming, hasn't it, to get to this point?
Yeah, when you put it like that, 80 minutes away from a chance at the title, which last time we had our hands on it was 2 years ago. It's ridiculous to say 2 years, isn't it, really? Yeah, a long time coming, and I think it would be lovely to put ourselves in a position to try and get our hands back on it. You reflect over what's happened in the last 2 years. There's been a lot of our squad players have done so much independent training alone. No one plays sport to do things alone, really, unless you're a swimmer or something underwater, not talking to anyone. So, I'm just reflecting on the last 2 years, how many training sessions we've done apart, and running in the snow, and all leading up to potentially 80 minutes at a home Headingley final. I think that would sit very well with a number of our girls if we could manage to do that.
Yeah, I mean, does the fact that the final is at Headingley, does that give you extra motivation and extra push going into this weekend to do your best to get that?
Wheatwood is more like our home ground, but Headingley's an incredibly special place and our second home ground. So yeah, I think it does add a little bit of extra incentive, just knowing that. Lovely stadium and platform for the women's game to be showcased. So I'd like to think the girls are excited by that.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the game as a whole, the fact that there's now been 3 different League Leader Shield winners in Women's Super League, that sends out a real big message about the women's game, doesn't it? And how competitive it is. Yeah,
definitely. I think the top few are sort of the top 3 or 4 are getting closer. That's for sure, and definitely more competitive. I think we just need to look at how we structure the competition to ensure that that's the case all year round, because there's nothing better than tight games, regardless of what the score is. Not only for the benefit of those top few teams, but what is it, the Shield, they're calling it. So it's competitive for everybody, because ultimately that's what keeps people in the game, that's what keeps people developing. So I think there's a bigger picture to be looked at.
Yeah, and when you were going into the final and the semi-finals in 2019, I suppose you just had that to concentrate on, but with all the outside pressures and COVID and everything to take into account this year, there must be an awful lot more pressure on you, that you do everything you can to make sure the semi-final and then the final goes ahead.
Yeah, I think we've been relatively unscathed lately. I know COVID cases are on the rise around, but it's just sort of, I don't think we'll be doing anything different, but it's just reminding the girls that over the next few weeks, just being mindful that COVID isn't an influencing factor on anything that we put out in the semi or the final, which is really hard, isn't it? Like, these girls give up so much, and trying to ask them for another month not to go silly out on the town or anything like that, when everyone just wants to let their hair down. We've got a lot of girls, that put a lot of effort in and make a lot of choices and sacrifices to put the team first. So no doubt they'll continue to do that over the next few weeks. Because ultimately, you don't, like I said, we don't want that to be an influencing factor come semis or finals.
Yeah, and just finally for me, last in the Challenge Cup, you missed out in the semi-final stage, and it was probably a bit of uncharted territory for you losing a game like that. So I suppose it's a feeling you don't want to repeat this weekend.
Oh yeah, that feeling's still definitely very raw amongst the group. It was definitely disappointing, and I think particularly disappointing. Saints were very good that day, but I think we kicked ourselves more for the performance that we put out there. We certainly didn't play our best rugby that day, and since then, Lois and the coaching staff have, been doing everything possible to prepare us to rebound from that day, and hopefully, we can prove that come Sunday that we're worthy of another crack.
Yeah, and if you can, a chance to potentially get a bit of revenge for that Challenge Cup semi-defeat against Saints in the final.
Yeah, look, I probably don't want to call it revenge at all. We won't get too emotional. I think that's the worst thing we could do is play on emotion of something that has been 5 months ago. So, I'm not sure what the word is, but at least another chance, another opportunity to at least play our best rugby, and regardless of the score, that's, I suppose, all we can ask for.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
No worries.
The weekend.
Thank you.
Hi, Courtney. How's it going?
Hey, Mark. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. Very good. Just a couple from me. I know we've sort of spoken before about trying to ensure this year that the Women's Super League and the women's game as a whole sort of built on the momentum from where it was left off in 2019. Do you feel now we're sort of getting towards the end of the season that has been the case, that things have carried on progressing at the rate they were?
I think it's hard to tell. Hey, with the year that we've had, 2019, we had some really good crowds coming in. We obviously weren't able to see that across the year, but I haven't seen any numbers or anything, but on the grapevine, lots of people are really enjoying the coverage, whether that be on Twitch or our league app, etc. And then, just little things like the semi-finals being broadcast on Sky. That is an enormous boost and a really big investment, I suppose. And all we ask for as athletes is progress. And I suppose as athletes of the media and our fans and supporters is progress in that space as well, which we've certainly got a little bit. And just finals, being able to play it totally wicked and Headingley. There's certainly terrific facilities to go and play rugby league.
Yeah. Because I mean, obviously, like I say, the Challenge Cup final has been played on the same days as the men's semi-final the past couple of times, which sort of obviously exposed it to a new audience. But like you say, you've obviously got things like the different streaming platforms that have been showing it regularly, and the semi-finals day, and the final obviously being live as well. I suppose it's great that the competition has now got its own space that it can sort of own and really, really showcase what the league is all about in its own right.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's all we're trying to do is just spread the gospel, call it perhaps, of women's rugby league and attract people as viewers, but also inspire hopefully a lot of young girls and boys that to our game. So platforms and what have you online have been terrific for that, particularly in the COVID year when people were just craving to be able to be at a live match. Couldn't do that, so that was next best. But yeah, we're making steps in the right direction. Yeah,
and like I say, even though obviously we're all looking forward to the World Cup at the end of this year, with it being postponed, it gives a nice long run up to it where you can hopefully really start pushing things on next year in the build up to that.
Yeah, definitely. It was like incredibly disappointing to see that it had to be postponed. But hopefully, like anything, there's an opportunity in negatives that present themselves, and perhaps that's a chance next year to really knuckle down and for the league to look at the structure to, you know, I think, again, what is the purpose of the Women's Super League? Well, next year the purpose is to put out the best 24 female rugby players to represent the country with pride and be incredibly, you know, competitive with the Southern Hemisphere crew. So, you know, I think it's going to be an enormous year next year, and I think beyond that, 2023, fingers crossed, off the back of a successful World Cup campaign, you know, it can kick on again. So I'm excited to see what eventuates from that space. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Courtney.
No worries, mate.
I'll throw in a very quick one. You're the reigning woman of steel, Courtney. If it's not you, who's going to lift that trophy this year?
Oh, I don't know, because number one, I'm not sure, if I'm honest. Can I sit on the fence for a bit longer? Because I'm going to sit on the fence a little longer. I just think the way players perform under pressure in semi-finals time is a true reflection of who should be named as the woman of steel. So I would like to see how the girls fare across the semis and the final. And, you know, this year it's no longer a player vote, given the restructure of the fixtures and not every team playing each other at least once. You know, they've gone to a panel of selectors for a short list and from there. So unfortunately, I don't even have to put a vote in this year, which is nice. I quite like that, and I'd like to perhaps see a blend in the future of perhaps a players' votes that go to a panel. I don't know. So can I sit on the fence a bit longer and give you an answer in, say, 3 weeks' time?
Yeah, unless you're going in 3 weeks, that's no problem at all. Thanks a lot.
But yeah, you know, short answer is I would like to see how some players perform in semis before I answer that.